少年ジャンプス。
Oh shit! What the fuck? A second episode in the span of... How many days has it been? It's been like almost a week? What? Well, that's what fucking happens when there's a lot of anime to watch. Because that's what we do here on Shonen Chumps, the only anime podcast on the gosh darn internet?
Net.
That features the three of us. As always, I'm Brennan.
I'm Sean.
I'm Dylan.
And I just told you what we do here. This week, we're doing our first ever second half episode. Meaning the latter half of a current season of anime that we already started previously. So, if you haven't seen the first half of this anime, or our podcast on the first half of this anime, go watch it. Anyways, this anime, if you didn't know, you do know, is MEGALO BOX.
Alright, so yeah, as you guys know, we're the Shonen Chumps. If you want to talk to us, you can tweet at us at Shonen Chumps. And if you want to email us, you can email us at shonenchumps@gmail.com, just like our biggest fan and probably the biggest chump, Eduardo, did.
Yes.
Just now.
Shout out Eduardo, and shout out everybody else who emails us on a regular basis.
We love you.
We fucking love the shit out of you. Keep talking to us. Keep letting us know what you think of our podcast and of the anime we watch. It's always a pleasure to come in human contact with others.
Yep. Eduardo addressed a point that we brought up in the last podcast we recorded, which was the third season of My Hero Academia, right?
Yeah.
We brought up crying while watching an anime. I thought it was silly that one of my friends cried during an anime that we watched.
Yes, your friend.
My friend. And Eduardo just emailed us to let us know that it's okay to express emotions. It's okay to cry while watching anime.
Right, yeah.
He also recommended this one, touching anime called Grave of the Fireflies.
Yes.
Which I haven't seen, but maybe I should now if I want to cry.
Yes, it's a very good Ghibli movie that I also have not seen.
Nice.
But maybe we'll watch it someday and cry together.
And talk about it.
Yeah. But yeah, Ed, thanks for emailing us.
Thanks, Ed.
We're bringing this up because you literally emailed us as we started recording, so...
Yeah.
Nice timing.
Nice fucking timing,
Perfect
dude.
timing. It's almost like we're being watched. And if you want to watch us, you can go to youtube.com/shonenchumps or SoundCloud, or Apple iTunes Podcast, Google Play, whatever the fuck you want. Guys, how did you feel about the second half of MEGALO BOX, the series?
MEGALO BOX!
Sorry, I shifted to look at Dylan as I was saying the title, which I think I always do, which is why I fuck up every single time. Because I'm looking at how Dylan is reacting.
You just get shook by this beautiful man.
Yeah.
Dylan, please.
Okay, my sentence is no, ... but it's pretty darn good. And just to clarify, this is me answering my own question, because for the first half of MEGALO BOX, I asked myself, is this the best anime we've watched in recent years? That's come out in the last few years.
Right, what's your answer again?
No.
It was no,
but
dude.
It's pretty darn good.
That was sick.
Yeah.
I'm gonna,
nice response to yourself.
You know what? Fuck it. I'm gonna go on record and say that's your best sentence.
That's
so
my
far.
favorite sentence.
That's
yeah.
my favorite Dylan sentence so
Yeah,
far.
eat a dick past Dylan. What up?
I've watched Past Dylan eat a dick, and let me tell you.
Marilyn Manson.
Nothing to
Marilyn
say about
Manson.
Hey, what up?
I took out 4 ribs.
Jesus.
Oh man.
Brennan, what do you think about Megaloblocks?
Oh, I'm just
Never
thinking
gonna be
about-
better than Lego.
I'm just thinking about the viewer's perception of Dylan at this point because we've thrown so many strange images into their heads.
Yeah, I guess we.
Yeah. he's a
I'm gonna
ki-
start
he's a-
doing that for you guys.
He's a chimera. He's skinny. He's beefy. He doesn't have ribs. He's a mythical beast. He's a good boy, and I love him dearly.
yeah. Shit.
Anyways, my sentence on Megalo Box,
Yes.
or the second half of it. This had a lot of ups and downs. Gotta say, I was a bit jaded, but there were at least 1 or 2 times during the course of these many episodes where I was like, hey, this is hitting a strong note and it's resonating quite loudly, and I understand why readers of the manga Ashita no Joe got together and held a funeral service for Yuri.
Oh, was it Yuri?
I guess, who died.
Unless
in the-
Joe died in the original anime.
I'm
almost
pretty sure
certain
he did
it's-
die in the original as well.
Maybe.
Yeah.
But whoever died, I got it. I'm like, huh. I understand why people give a shit about this. And there are moments where it shines through the cloud cover as just like a beam of hot white anime energy
Right.
into your fucking brain. And you're like, wow, this is art. And then there's other moments where you're like, I wish this was done.
Right.
so that's your one sentence.
That's my sentence, yeah. It's been a while since we had a long one, dude.
Anytime we do the
Allow
sentence
me,
stuff,
fam.
I try to imagine how the sentences would look like typed out in like a Word document. And like Brennan's would have so many semicolons, I think.
Dude.
And dashes.
Dashes.
Like,
And periods.
yeah, well, like continuing the sentence
not-
as long as
Yeah.
humanly possible.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So my sentence.
Give me this, boys.
My sentence, and you can take this however the fuck you want, but it is this, a quote from the show. If you're going to keep looking at the past, you might as well grow a pair of eyes on your ass.
Was that not in the rap? Was it in the rap? Hey,
the
yeah.
Sachio rap,
Right.
which I think is incredibly dope.
Oh, really?
Nice.
Incredibly
Okay.
dope, yeah.
Was it? Did
not.
you guys watch the sub on this one?
There's only a
sub.
sub.
Okay, I don't know.
We've been over this.
Because I only watched the subs.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. Well,
So,
anyways.
okay, the first half of the season, or like this whole series, I guess, we get to meet Joe, blah, blah, blah. He gets trained. They enter the Megalobox tournament.
Right.
And he goes gearless to like become popular.
Megalonia.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So he goes gearless to
Yeah.
become popular. And then he faces his like trainer's ex.
Aragaki.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Aragaki is ex protege.
The
or
mans
whatever.
who got
Oh no, sorry.
abandoned.
Aragaki is the protege. Sorry, it's Pops. Pops is.
Oh yeah, sorry. I meant you got it right.
Oh,
I was
wait,
looking for
yeah.
the name of the protege. Yeah. So
It was
Aragaki.
Aragaki, yeah.
Yeah. So now in the second half of the season, we just see like him rising the ranks of all this stuff.
Right.
Yeah.
He's done all the preliminary shit. We've seen his climb to the top. Now
Yeah.
it's time to fight with the big dog.
So we returned to the show in episode 7. We watched episode 7 to 13.
Yeah.
Obviously, that's what we're talking about in this episode of our podcast. And it starts off with you seeing posters of Gearless Joe everywhere in the city and a tattoo of him on a hot woman's
Yes.
thigh.
Dude, yeah. I was like, what?
this badass woman
he
just,
just
getting,
became famous. They keep highlighting, like, hey, remember 3 months ago when no one knew
Yeah.
like,
who you were?
now
What?
really cool ladies
Like-
are getting your face tattooed on their thighs,
Yeah,
bro.
the thigh tattoo is a picture of his face. Underneath it says Gearless, and on top it says like GJL or whatever. Gearless Joe. GLJ. And I'm like, isn't that redundant? To have like his initials and then have Gearless
I mean,
under
like,
it
maybe
and
it's
his
the
face, like-
sickest thing you've ever seen in your life.
was
You just
a-
haven't
yeah.
realized it yet.
He was a boxer for 3 months and that happened. We've been a podcast for over a year.
Yeah, what the
Chumps, let
fuck?
me hear you. Do any of you have a
A
tattoo
Shonen
of us?
Jumps tattoo.
Get our heads tattooed on your thigh.
I sent
Gearless.
Yeah.
I don't know why.
I sent this picture to our group chat recently of the woman with the Drake tattoo on her forehead.
Right.
Just saying. I mean, if you don't know what that is, Google it now.
The rapper Drake.
And see a woman with a Drake tattoo on her forehead. I kindly request that anyone with balls made of real stone, metaphorical balls, whether you have them or not, I summon you. I implore you. Get a Shonen Chumps tattoo on your face. Even better if you're a SoundCloud rapper. Anyways.
God.
Back to Megalo Box.
So, I have a question.
Yeah.
How do you feel about this boxer, man, that has AI arms? Artificial intelligence arms.
Dude, first of all,
Yes.
I'm going to call bullshit and be like, that's got to be some kind of breach of the rules. Because at that point, you might as well let a robot fight. Where do you come into this?
Right.
Where does the boxer come into this?
Right.
You're just the vessel.
I guess there aren't rules though for that because there.
I mean,
he's
I guess
fighting, right?
it's fine.
and it's like known. Like
But also-
everyone knows he has AI arms.
Right,
Yeah.
but I'm saying I thought it was dumb.
But I guess he was allowed because he wrote the AI. Like, what, this guy a genius programmer?
yeah, he coded the scripts to be like, dodge here. It's like-
So I think I don't remember if this is right, maybe one of you guys can correct me, but the character's name is Mikio, and he appears at the end of episode 6, and I think that's the first time we see him. And he
Okay.
says he's gonna bring an end to Joe. I think in that
okay.
Right.
in that part, and so
He's
you know,
talking to Yuri. I think
Yeah,
is
he's
what
talking to
happens, yeah.
Yuri, and
Oh.
in episode 7, we see that he fights a rapper. That'd be great.
Man,
He
wouldn't
fights
it be
another.
great if this show was just rap battles and there's no boxing?
Dude. It's almost like you're asking for Devilman Cry.
Yeah, I was about to say that. So he fights a fighter named Sugar. Also,
Oh, yeah.
I think last time we talked about the significance about whether whether they chose Joe for a specific reason as the name.
Right.
Sugar. I mean, there are two famous boxers with like the name Sugar, like Sugar Ray Leonard and Sugar Ray Robinson. So
Okay.
I wondered myself,
Right.
are they saying like Sugar?
Probably.
Is that, like, something
they're
there?
dropping a cute little reference.
Yeah.
Like, hey guys, boxing. Am I right?
Yeah. Anyway, so Mikio wins.
Yeah.
And he challenges our boy Joe to
Right.
a fight.
Also, he's related to the queen. What's her name?
Yukiko.
Yes.
What's the name of their company?
Shirato?
I believe
think.
it. I believe it.
Yeah, something like that.
Shirato or like Shirako. I can't quite remember.
Yeah.
Even though I watched it today.
Yeah, so we all agree it's really weird that he has AI arms.
Yeah. I did like the color though. I like that
Yeah.
he was the red boxer. We had the yellow boxer before him.
Right,
and
right.
then I'm talking about the color of the gear that they attach to themselves. Yeah. Yeah, that was pretty cool to a degree, but also kind of dumb to a degree.
Something that occurred to me while watching this show is that they'll like amp you up for a fight between Joe and somebody, like obviously a rival of his, but then when you actually dive into the episode where he fights them,
They
it
start
doesn't-
halfway?
Yeah, they start halfway through the fight,
Dude.
which is- but it like it's kind of cool. Like it's showing that the show is not necessarily like is sports anime y as you expect it to be.
Here's my qualm with that though.
Okay.
It's like they try to break conventions sometimes, but at the same time it's like it does it in a way that doesn't add anything. It's not like, oh, I saw that big hit coming, but they deked me out, and oh, they have a different way of surprising me. It's like not surprising. Like instead of just dropping it on you, the information, I mean, they just kind of like let it seep into your brain with what they're showing. And it's like, ugh, why did you do that? Why didn't you just hit me with this emotional thing, right? Like, oh, they started fighting. It should be like, oh, it's intense, it's crazy. The typical shonen route, obviously, is like make a big deal out of it. And I guess they didn't want to do that, which I commend them for. But starting like at round 8 kind of pulls the steam out of things. And we're jumping ahead a bit, but that especially pissed me off for when they started fight, like when Joe and Yuri started fighting. When the final round started,
Right.
and they jump or like they cut away immediately, and they come back and it's like round 4, and I'm like, what the fuck, dude? And they still go through some menial shit where they're like just sort of like feeling each other out, and like they're like Joe's getting his ass kicked. They could have just started the round and have it be like crazy and exciting, and him get his ass kicked and cut away anyways, because that's what happened.
Right.
They just
Alright.
timed it very poorly.
Yeah, Dylan, what do you feel about that?
have a hard, like, I completely disagree.
Nice.
So I thought that it was amazing that they started the episode on round 2 when he fights Mikio, because, I mean, if this was a sports anime, and I remember way back, this was something I didn't like about Yuri on Ice, is that it got very samey, you know? It was just like, oh, you know, Yuri watches all the competitions and then he gets nervous, and then, like, you know, Victor, like, kisses him or something, and he's like, oh, I believe in you. Almost
That's controversial, yeah.
He's like, Yuri, I believe in you. And he's
He
like,
did.
I'm not gonna,
He did, though.
I'm not gonna let Victor down. I have to do this. You know? It just got old, and, you know, so episode 7 and 8, we get to know a little bit more about Mikio, and, you know, first they have to throw the match, and then the match gets put back on. And so episode 9, just starting at round 2 in the thick of it, was great to me, because it just, like, jumped in. We didn't need more of Joe preparing for the fight, for, like, Sachio to be cheering them on. It's like, this is happening right now. Right. And I mean, round 1 doesn't even matter. They both gotten a few hits, and we don't need to see that. So it was, like, refreshing, because I haven't seen that in an anime before.
Fair, but I feel like the way they led up to the fight, though, was as if they were gonna make a big deal about round 1 in every case, and them not doing that felt like a blue ball. It felt like not even like a blue ball, it just felt like all of the gas got sucked out of the show, you know? It's like the show got winded, dude, if we're going to talk about boxing. But, like, it's just, man, there's times where that would have been, like, if they did it once, it would have been appropriate. I would have been like, okay, cool, nice. They pulled a fast one on me. But they did it back to back, dude. And I did not fuck with it.
Well, there were a couple episodes in between that. There weren't, like,
right.
fight.
But, like, see, this is like the Achilles heel of a lot of sports anime, is that, like you said, it gets kind of samey sometimes. It's like you can only show so many Beyblades smashing together. You can only show so many pirouettes on ice. You can only show so many sweaty boys in a swimming pool.
Right.
Disagree with that.
But
I honestly disagree with the first 2. I
mean,
haven't seen that swimming pool show.
Right.
But yeah, I get what you're getting at.
But then I also did think about Yuri on Ice while I was watching this. And I was like, what was compelling about Yuri on Ice? I was like, the fact that while they're doing their routines, they're still having, like, an inner monologue going, and, like, they're sort of reinforcing all of their goals and, like, everything, like, their motivations, and you feel like you root for characters, right? So you're like, oh, I believe in this person because they're doing this thing. But I didn't get that during any of the fights in the second half of Megalo Box. I don't even know about the first half. Like, there was no moment during the fight where I was like, oh shit, like, I really give a fuck about what's going on, because there's an actual chance that maybe Joe won't win. Like, I mean...
Well, let me interject and say that, like, there was one moment where I felt like that, and I thought it was the greatest moment of this show.
Was it at the very end?
No.
Oh.
It was during the fight where Joe has to decide whether or not he's going to throw the match or not.
Oh, against Glenn Burrows.
Yes, against the guy who speaks English.
Amazing voice acting.
It is honestly amazing.
It's pretty good. It's pretty good.
But then they have, like, a sidekick, like, outside of the ring, also speak English, and you can tell that guy's not a native English speaker.
Right, yeah.
Like, they just grabbed some guy next to the audio booth.
It's like,
and
don't
like,
panic,
whoa.
Glenn. It didn't come out.
You've said an English thing, right? Please record this for us.
Right.
Yeah, episode 11, I think, is the episode where, he has to decide if he's going to throw the match or not, and Joe shows up with gear on, which is so weird. Right?
When he fights Glenn?
I think so, yeah.
Yeah, he shows up
that's
with
correct.
gear.
That is correct. Yeah. And he taunts him for it, and he's like, thanks, dude.
For me, I wrote that episode 11, I wrote, this is the best episode of the show thus far. Culmination. Even Pop stands up for himself.
I'll tell you what.
Yeah, that was a great episode.
That was great, because I was there like, how are they going to get out of this? This is, okay, so you know he's going to end up fighting Yuri at the end. You know it. That's just, no matter what, it's going to happen. But it's like, okay, there are so many interesting obstacles in the way, and I thought they did that very good, where it's like, oh, how the fuck are they going to get out of the hands of the mob?
Right.
Because it just seemed so hopeless at that point. Like, they had so much control over them. And I guess the answer to that is just having the guts to dig your fucking eye out with a butter knife.
Yeah. I thought it was a really cool moment, but it was kind of ridiculous that Pops had to do it to himself. I think it would have made more sense if the mob did it to him. Like,
Right.
because the reason why it's so poetic is because Pops wants to see Joe dancing in the ring more than anybody else, but he's
Right.
never going to be able to see it now.
Right. Now he just does it bat style and fucking does some sonar shit.
It's kind of weird that, like, Pops was cornered against, like, a wall in that room, and he's like, wait, mob.
What if
What if I tear my own eye out? And that's so tragic for me that's like a win for you guys, right?
It's like, you
Just
got
take my eye.
Mozzie, kid. Like,
Yeah, like, it makes more sense that the mob boss would come up to him with a knife and be like,
Listen.
I'm gonna take your eye so that you can never watch your pretty boy dance, you little bitch.
Yeah, see, that was the most kind of unbelievable part to me.
Yeah.
I didn't really get it. Also,
and the fact
just
that he just
wanna-
fucked off after. Like,
Yeah.
the mob was just like,
Yeah.
okay, bye.
but before that, I want to remind you guys about in the first half of this season, Joe decides to win a match when he's supposed to throw it, and at that point the mob boss is going to take his eye, and he says, wait, we're going to enter the tournament and we'll win, and that's how we'll pay you back. So that means that this guy already owed him his eye,
Yeah.
and it was trying to like break even,
Right.
and now sets him back even more. Dude, so he'd already lost
wait.
money on that first match, and now the mobster is losing even more money on this
Right.
new match. How is the eye good enough at this point? Give
Right,
me a
but-
leg,
But wait,
you know?
like,
Yeah.
also the mob has been collecting all of their winnings, and you know this because when the dude shows up to be like, yo, you gotta tell him the truth. It's time to let him know that he's gonna have to throw the match against Glenn. Joe is like, oh, here already, old man, to collect the winnings? You're early. It's like, oh, shit. So they have been paying them back and making them money. We don't know if they broke
Okay.
even necessarily.
Right.
Probably more
Right.
than that. They're probably making money at this point, which is why he wanted even more, I guess. But
Either way, this mobster feels too forgiving.
Right.
He's
and
got
even
some
like
weird
in the final
principles, yeah.
episode, or not the final one maybe, but he's like cheering on Joe a little bit. He's like, oh, you really did it. You turned a junkyard dog into a star.
Yeah, he's like a mobster
really
with a heart
funny.
of gold.
Yeah.
Also, can we talk about like just how stop with the fucking dog analogy? It's like, oh, we got it.
Right.
We got it. He's a junkyard dog.
But
He's a
Pops is a scorpion.
dude, yeah.
He's gonna. That analogy was pretty sick.
I wrote it down, yeah, so that's in episode 10.
Did they make this analogy earlier in the season, or did another anime do that?
I don't
Because I
know.
don't remember, but I remember when he brought it up for the first time, he's like, you're a scorpion. And I'm like, oh, because he'll kill the thing he's riding on and kill them both in the middle of the river. And I was like,
Right.
wait, did they already talk about this? And then they bring up the story later, and they explain it like it's the first time they're explaining it. I'm like,
Maybe
wait,
that's
have I
just a
seen
known
this before?
analogy.
I feel like it must have been in another
It
seems
feels
movie.
familiar to me
yeah.
too. Yeah,
It
I
feels
don't remember
familiar.
Like a movie or a show, or like maybe earlier in the season. I just don't remember. but-
Yeah. So in case viewers,
If you
listeners,
know.
if you don't remember, also, we'll just run through the story really quickly. There's a scorpion who wants to cross a river, but he can't because he can't swim. So he asks a frog if the frog will carry him across the river. And the frog says, but if you go on my back, you'll sting me. And the scorpion says, like, no, I won't, because if you die in the middle, then we both die. So he says, okay. So the scorpion gets on, and as the frog is crossing the river, the scorpion stings him. And as the frog is losing consciousness, he says, like, you said you wouldn't sting me. And the scorpion replies saying, I couldn't help it. It's in my nature.
That was beautiful.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah. So that's when the mobster, I can't remember his name, and Pops are discussing it. It's kind of like why Pops ended up agreeing to the deal.
Right.
Right.
for them to throw that final match initially, way back when, like 3 months ago.
Yeah, it's like,
He couldn't help
you're gonna fuck us down the line one way or the other because it's in your nature to not just be a subservient.
Yeah, he's just a shady person. Also, how weird is it that, like, Sachio, the kid, joins their crew, and it just so happens that his father is the person that, like, developed the gear that people wear during boxing matches.
Oh, I thought it was just Yuri's.
Oh, was it just Yuri's?
That's what I thought.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
His idea was stolen by.
Yeah, because he's
okay.
a freelance engineer.
Yeah.
I wasn't sure if it was just Yuri's or Yuri's and the other guys, because like
No,
they started
'cause
off
they're
as the same project, right? But then they branched off or something.
Oh.
No, I think the other guy was like he's on his own thing. He developed his AI thing to counteract like the bio arms of his sister's company or his sister's
Right.
people.
Oh, so all the arms of that woman's company, right?
Yeah.
Yeah,
okay.
yeah.
Oh, I just assumed, like, her company made all
Just
the
all
arms.
in
because
Oh,
like
yeah.
so like I guess their grandfather owned the company, and then when he died, he gave ownership of it to the sister,
Right.
and he's been salty about it ever since. He's like, "Oh, watch! I'm gonna make much sicker arms than you guys have,
Oh,
and
yeah,
then
yeah.
also prove to everyone that you're a joke."
Right.
Right.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
I want to go back to episode 11, Sean. You talked about that being the most satisfying episode.
Yeah.
And you just briefly touched on Joe coming out with the armor on the
gear.
gear. Yeah. The gear. And that was a really cool moment because it does, if he was going to throw the match, he wasn't going to do it as gearless Joe, you know?
Right.
It was
yeah,
like
yeah.
He was almost, I don't know if that's what it was supposed to mean, or if it meant that he's fallen back into his old ways.
Huh.
Like the pathetic, junk dog that he was.
Yeah.
3 months ago, he was wearing that armor, or the gear. Why do I keep calling it armor? The gear. And so he was coming out in this gear again because he wasn't gearless Joe in that moment. Like, I don't know.
His old persona.
Yeah, what do we think? Do you think? I think it seemed that Joe hadn't decided what he was going to do.
Yeah.
Right? Until that moment.
That's really cool. I hadn't thought about that at all. In fact, I was actually pretty confused as to why he came out in gear at all.
I felt exactly the same. I was not thinking about it on an intellectual level.
yeah,
like Dylan.
but I would.
Which
well,
is good.
to be honest,
that makes a lot more sense.
Yeah, I like
to be
that
honest,
a lot.
I thought of it like 10 minutes ago.
Oh.
I mean,
So it didn't actually hit me when I was watching either. It hit me 10 minutes ago during this podcast.
damn, dude.
Yeah, but I could see that, him, like, not wanting to tarnish the
That's-
gearless Joe, like, vision.
That's his like way of just being like, just leave your body, just leave your body, just
Yeah.
this is too embarrassing. I'm peacing out. Goodbye.
Yeah. I'm trying to equate it to, like, it's like if your friends all call you, like, a loser bitch for not, like, coming out to the bar or the club with them on a Friday night, and then you're like, fine, I'll come along, but you show up in sweatpants. And they're like, dude,
fuck.
you bitch.
Why would you do this
Why'd
to
you
us?
even come? Yeah. That's Joe. He's just like, fine,
Like,
I'm going to show up.
yeah,
But I'm
you know
gonna have
what?
gear on.
That's kind of sick. That's such a punk move on Joe's part.
Yeah.
It's like, fuck you.
The
You want me
truest
to
punk.
lose? All right, watch.
Very cool. Yeah, I definitely think that episode 11 is like the culmination of the series. It's the highest point that it ever reaches for me. And
Nice.
like each one of the main characters you see like in their element doing what they do and doing it best and being like the best, like the height of that character. You see Joe like moving on all levels, deciding not to quit. Or I guess he's told not to quit by Pops. Pops realizing that they shouldn't just be junkyard dogs for their entire lives and actually stand up against like the forces that are against them.
Nice.
You see Sachio not being a little bitch kid anymore, but he runs and he's like mad at Joe and he starts rapping to himself and says the sickest line in the entire series.
no.
Let me just read it again. Guys, the line is so good. If you're going to keep looking at the past, you might as well grow a pair of eyes on your ass.
Right.
It's ironically jokes and funny and like insightful. Like I think it's like jokingly insightful. I was like, wow.
Well, yeah.
That's profound.
Take note, Drake.
But also, to be fair, when that, like, as soon as that scene was starting, as he's, like,
Right.
crossing the bridge and he sees, like, this sort of stage/ring area, like, illuminated by a single beam of light,
Right.
I'm like, he's gonna start rapping. And then he starts rapping, and I'm like, no!
Right.
Why?
Right.
And it's I cringed the whole way through.
Yeah, that line was good, but overall I didn't like the rap. One other thing from episode 11
Sorry, dude.
that I wanted to mention, another really good thing about it was,
Yeah.
it'd be easy for this, going into the final episodes if Yuri and Joe just had this grudge. But we also see Yuri easing toward really respecting Joe in the second half. And in that episode, we see it reach its peak there. He actually says, like, he's the real deal, and he respects him. And also, it would be so, unbelievable if Joe beat Yuri in his gear. Like, yeah, he's a good boxer.
Right.
But, I mean, so maybe, I don't, there's a chance, but it
The
felt
entire time,
right.
yeah.
And it felt
it's being
like
played
not
up.
a cop-out
Right.
for Yuri to take his armor off because of what they were building towards.
Exactly.
And it made the fight seem a lot more realistic, and it made the outcome feel a lot more realistic.
Yeah.
So episode 11 was great for a lot of reasons.
Yes.
Yeah.
Like, also during that part where I said that everybody's like in their element, doing the thing that makes their character the greatest, that's when Yuri like moves down to the arena and he's like, "Yo, you gotta
Yeah, he's like,
give
you
it
made
your
me a
all, you
prom-
fucking
Yeah,
bitch."
you said
Right.
you were going to fight me in my arena.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Also,
And-
I just want to bring up, you said that Yuri calls Joe the real deal.
Yeah.
Why does the show keep using the term genuine article?
Is that like in the
like-
sub?
Is that like
Yeah.
their world's phrase for real
No,
deal?
that's just a thing people
Because
say.
so-
It's like an old timey phrase though. It's like, this is the real deal, the genuine article. Like when
What?
I haven't heard
Like-
genuine
it's like-
article.
like in a-
obviously, real
yeah,
deal.
like a
but-
20s radio ad for
was-
like snake
yeah.
oil or some shit.
It's weird because that's the phrase that they use the most in the show, but sometimes they also say real deal. So they are distinct different phrases.
Right. I think
Not just interchange.
I
well,
think
I
the-
suppose
I think
they're
they're synonyms.
interchangeable. Yes, but like they're going out of their way to say genuine article
Sure,
instead
yeah,
of saying
sure.
real deal.
it's
most of the
it's a
time.
weird sub.
Yeah,
but
I
I think
guess
they're
so.
using the same word in Japanese all the time, which
Right.
just
Oh,
translates
yeah, it
to
could
like the real, the truth.
right.
But while we're talking about like, the peak, the apex of this show,
Yes.
I would say for me, it was as soon as Yuri stops being this OP character with these OP arms that I agree it was so good that they got rid of the arms, because the entire time it's just built up to be like inhuman, just a standard beyond everyone else, and that's why he's winning. Of course he's a great boxer, but also like no one can match up to those arms.
Did you guys see that coming, by the way?
But-
Like him taking off the arms?
No, I didn't.
No.
But
I did.
did you?
I got the
Ooh.
vibe like this guy is gonna get rid of his arms.
When?
Probably around like when he started respecting Joe.
Yeah.
So maybe like episode 10 or 11. Yeah.
Cool.
That's some force
Like, obviously,
that you
I'm
got
not
there.
ballsy
Not bad.
enough to think that it 100% is going to happen. I just got the vibe that this guy's going to go in gearless.
Right.
I'm like, I knew it.
Right.
Yeah, it felt good. Sorry, what were you getting at, Brennan?
So what I was saying was the height of this show for me was when Yuri and Joe look at each other and they see the ultimate rival, the true lifeblood of sportsmanship, the mutual respect, and it being of the highest level, because they each know that the other is like a master of their craft to some degree. Like, Joe isn't some piece of shit fighting in a back alley. Like, he knows what he's doing now. He has real skill and he's proved himself.
Right.
And it inspires Yuri. And that inspired me, dude. I was like, wow, this is the best. This is what I was talking about when I meant that singular beam of pure anime energy. That was it. When he decides to take his arms off and spends like a week screaming in a cell, yeah, in solitary confinement with his arms all torn up, because he wants to suffer to achieve the same level of like enlightenment that Joe has found in his suffering. His entire being has been channeled into achieving this one goal, which is being number one, which is being the top, which is a title that Yuri holds, and which I felt like he didn't deserve,
Right.
because he sees Joe and he sees how much effort that he's put into rising, and he's like, I need to better myself. I need to reach Joe's level to compete for number one. So it's not even like the champ being overturned. It's a true competition of true rivals.
Right.
And I was like, this is amazing.
Yeah, Yuri definitely wants to prove to himself that he can be number one, obviously, without the gear.
Yeah, Yuri says to Yukiko that his old trainer said that he should consider himself blessed if he found an opponent that he wants to beat so badly from the bottom of his heart.
Yeah.
Right.
And he finds that.
That was amazing.
In Joe. Actually, that reminds me, them looking at each other as equals. I mean, I assume, Joe realizes that Yuri values him before the fight and in the end. But I also, it was quite satisfying to hear that perspective from Yuri, because also before, in, I guess, episode 7, when Mikio blackmails Joe, saying, like, you're not a legal fighter, so don't step in the ring.
Right.
And later, they find out that Mikio didn't actually have hard evidence.
He was just bluffing.
And Sachio says to Joe, like, oh, he was scared of you, Joe, because, you didn't have gear, so he couldn't predict your moves. And later in the episode, Joe says he wasn't scared. He just thought, like, I was insignificant.
Right.
Like, he didn't want to bother fighting me because I don't matter. It's not that...
Yeah.
And he says, I've seen that look before, and it cuts... and it flashes back to the way Yukiko looked at him on the bridge. Like inciting incident. And you really feel in that moment, right?
Yeah.
And then you're like, that makes sense. And so now, I mean, at least as the viewer, hearing Yuri speak so positively about Joe was very rewarding.
To the point where he's willing to toss Yukiko aside. Well, not necessarily toss her aside, but value his dreams over hers.
Right.
Where it's like, I've helped you achieve what you want to achieve. You're about to sign this big contract with the military. Now let me do my thing.
Right.
Yeah.
Like, this is sick, dude.
But what's kind of silly about that is that he goes to Mikio to take the arms off, and everyone's like chill with Mikio now.
Yeah,
and
he's
also
like the coolest
Mikio
guy.
himself is like relaxed. He's like, yeah, man, I'm just going back to my roots, and he's like drinking tea in the woods. What?
Yeah.
Wasn't your fight like a week ago,
He's
dude?
like listening to smooth jazz. He's just like, I'm just really mellowed out. Also, I have an impromptu surgeon's table in my basement. Don't ask me why.
That's a Hideo Kojima level of a retcon on a character.
Right.
That's just the character becomes exactly what he needs them to be whenever he wants.
Right. Yeah.
Just a totally 180 on a character.
Yep. Just fucking irks.
Yeah.
Turn it right around.
Yeah. Anyway, so that was weird.
That was really funny.
Overall, I liked.
Yeah.
Also, like,
the build.
I get the logic, obviously the passion behind taking off your gear.
Yeah.
But also just like the actual logic, like how it could fuck you up for the rest of your life, and how
Right.
like it could potentially injure a part of your body and make you never be able to compete in the sport ever again.
Right,
Like,
but-
that's not going to lead to any happiness if...
But it's almost the equivalent of Joe literally putting his life on the line every time he steps into the ring. Because that's not
guess
something
so, yeah.
Yuri has to worry about, or any other Megalo boxer has to worry about, because they're
Right.
all fighting on even ground.
Right.
Every time Joe steps in the ring, he's the underdog, because he's gearless Joe. He's automatically given himself, like, he's put himself on a lower level. And I mean, like, while we're talking about like the final fight and everything, I thought just like the way it wrapped up too was beautiful. Like, in the back of my head, I was like, oh, I wonder if they're gonna end it the way the manga ended, which is, I'm not sure who dies, but someone dies.
Right.
I'm almost certain Yuri dies. So I was like, oh, maybe Yuri's just going to die at the end of this and Joe's going to be the new champion. But then they don't show you the result right away. They show you the most, like the peak. They show you the climax of the entire fight, where Joe's like, this is the greatest moment of my life, when he's on equal footing with someone who's like a true rival, and they're both giving it their all. And it's like, it's just the maximum output of this show, and I'm like, fuck, that is so sick. And then it's like, cut to black, what happens next? Who the fuck knows? And then
You just see how other people react to it. Like Yukiko, I think that's her name, right?
she's crying, and like she mouths something that looks like an arigato, so it's like, oh, maybe she's like thanks, or like sorry, or like who knows.
Right.
Maybe he did die, and then he shows up in a wheelchair. And then you hear on the radio that there's no, like, since the last one ended with no official champion. It's like, oh, did they both knock each other out? Did they both die? Where's Joe? Mm-hmm. And then Joe shows up and he's talking to his buddy who fixes his motorcycle, and he's like, oh, do you think you'll ever fight again? And he's like, I don't know. We'll see when we see. And also, after we find out that Yuri didn't actually die, and he's just like severely damaged for his life, I guess, because he's in a wheelchair.
Why would he end up in a wheelchair?
Maybe his neck broke, dude.
He got $1 Million Babied.
Oh yeah,
We've
right.
all seen the
God.
movie.
Right,
Yeah.
except the plug didn't get pulled on him.
Right.
Oh God.
I forgot about
These
these.
are some huge spoilers.
Yeah. Sorry if
The whole
you're
thing should be beat.
if you're into boxing and you haven't watched $1 Million Baby. Sorry. But no, the thing, he says a really beautiful quote that I can't remember word for word, but it's something along the lines of, like, it doesn't matter how rich or poor you are. Like, as soon as you come into the world, you're born to die. And as long as you live a life that you can be satisfied with, it doesn't matter, because when the time comes, you won't meet death with fear. And I was like, oh my God, that is beautiful.
Right.
Also, Joe is so fucking dead. But then he turns out that he isn't dead, and then it all winds up at least relatively happy.
Yeah.
Like, they're chilling on a dock eating fucking barbecue together, celebrating the 1-year anniversary of the Nowhere gym opening up.
Yeah, that's
And
true.
Sure, people might be short a couple eyeballs
Or legs.
or legs, but like, things turn out okay. And I was like, wow, this is great.
Seize the day. Carpe diem. Live your life to the fullest.
Yeah, but then I was like, wait, are they just not gonna tell us who won or didn't win? Is that gonna be the end? And I got actively angry in that moment.
Right.
And then we got the black screen being like, winner by knockout.
Yes.
It was Joe. Show's done.
It was Joe.
Like, way before that, I assumed that Joe won. Just
Did you?
because he
Oh.
wasn't in a wheelchair.
Oh,
Yeah,
true.
but they said, but on the radio it still said there wasn't
Yeah.
a winner, so I'm confused.
Yeah.
Maybe Joe won, but then he didn't accept the title. Or
That's what
something?
I'm
Yeah.
guessing.
Or maybe
It's like,
he won, but then they found out that he wasn't a citizen because he doesn't have proper ID.
Right.
Like
Like,
some
you can't get the award.
much less
Yeah.
meaningful default shit.
Yeah.
Just administration bullshit.
Yeah.
Where it's not like he's like, I don't want the title. I'm glad I got to fight the truest sportsman I've ever met in my life.
They're like, you can't handle the title.
Where are your papers, bro?
How do you guys feel about that? Do you like that Joe won?
I'm okay with it. I would have been happier if they both knocked each other out and it was like a tie. That would have been kind of cool, to be honest.
You know, I feel like I would have rather someone won, but they don't tell us who.
Sure.
In the end, like, it doesn't matter.
I feel like that would have enraged me, though.
It would have been ridiculous if they both punched each other and both got knocked out, but Yuri ended up
In a wheelchair.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
That's true, yeah.
That'd be
Well,
so
I guess,
bad.
like, that was not the final punch, right? Like,
think
that
it
couldn't have been
was.
I think
but then
it
how would
was.
he have ended up in a wheelchair?
Because that was the last round. Well, maybe he
I don't know.
broke his
He-
neck.
Yeah.
He got the good angle on that.
Yeah,
shit.
okay.
Or like he fell and
Yeah.
snapped his spine or something.
Yeah.
Like, jeez, dude.
Well, I guess so. Anyway, I don't know. That freeze frame,
Joe
I didn't
punched him
I didn't,
so hard his spine snapped in two
That
Yeah.
freeze
while
frame
he
of
was
them
still standing.
punching each other, I don't know. I liked it after. When I first saw it and then they cut away, I didn't like what they were doing. But
Right.
then the
I
way they
was-
kind of just teased it
I liked
after.
it. With
That
the
was
shots of
pure
like
ecstasy for me,
the
dude.
IV bag or whatever.
Yeah.
Maybe I'm imagining that. Or
Yeah,
like
no,
the
that
shot
happened.
of Yukiko reacting, being like, "Oh no,
No, I'm saying I like it made me like it after, but while it was happening, the first
Right.
like that punching, I was like, oh.
oh yeah." The punch was kind of cheesy.
But then everything after that followed. Actually,
I liked
before
it.
they show that Yukiko crying, it actually first shows the army dudes talking about how she didn't even flinch when she heard the news.
Right.
And then later in the car, you see her say something and
Yeah,
then shed
cry.
a tear.
Right.
And
Yeah,
that was really cool.
They're like, yo, she's hardcore. She doesn't even give a shit about that guy who's like literally getting his ass beat for her.
Yeah.
She's great. She's a good character because she you could see that she kind of respects Joe,
Oh, of course.
Mhm.
Yeah. Yeah.
but she still like has this legacy to like uphold with her like family's company.
Right.
So she needs to stick to that.
There's
even
like,
though it goes against what she might feel like morally or whatever.
Yeah.
there's many times where she's like, I could just like fuck you over, right? And they're like, yeah, but you won't. She's like, you got me.
Right. She makes me think of that older sister in Durarara, the one that's like allied with the really evil guy who likes observing humans. She's the one that keeps like Celti's head and stuff.
Right. She's kind of fucking. She loves her brother too much.
Yeah. Also, there's that. Yeah.
So Izia's sister?
No.
No.
I don't remember who's.
I don't remember the guy's name. It's the guy who's in love with the girl who got plastic surgery on her face to look like Celti.
Oh, come on.
The most boring dude in the entire show.
Yes, I know who you're talking about.
Yeah, that guy sucks.
That guy is a bad character. He's like the Chris Brown of Durarara.
Oh my god.
Yeah.
Just bad news.
Just all around. Bad, not good.
Not good. Might have been good when he was 16, but after that, bad.
Took a steep downward spiral. Yeah. Anyways, go watch Durarara too. That show's fucking sick.
Yeah.
That show fucks,
season 1,
dude. Yeah.
But you didn't finish season 2, Dylan.
Yeah.
Maybe we'll podcast it.
Don't speak on my name.
So in episode 13, also right before the punch, I think they both like stop for a minute.
Right, and then they talk for a second.
Yeah, they talk. I actually I didn't record exactly what they said, but I think Yuri asks
something
him
really
and
intense.
He says like, "You're going, aren't you?"
It's like, yeah, I'm crossing through, or like, what the fuck?
I'm pretty sure he said. I thought he said something like,
he said you're going. Yeah,
and I thought that was really cool because I thought it was them both saying like,
we're both gonna die at the end of this, right?
Or just like, I'm out of gas. Like, you don't have anything left, right? And I felt like in that moment they both understood that it did come down to that punch. Like, it's like, this is it.
Yeah,
right.
Dude. For me, it was like a callback to that, or not? I guess a call forward to that quote where it's like, when you die, make sure you've done everything you could possibly do to be satisfied with your life.
Right.
Like, you're going, right? Like, this is it, right? You're done. This is the culminating moment of your life, and you're ready to die.
Right.
Also, have we talked about the fact that the word die is in every episode, or like the name of every episode?
But, is it?
Yeah.
Okay.
But no one dies.
Not dead yet.
Not dead yet, dude.
I like how the show, and I might be like speaking hyperbole right now, but I like how the show gets done in 13 episodes what Dragon Ball has tried to do in like 350 between Goku and Vegeta.
Yeah, right.
It's just like, yeah, but in
Did
Dragon
they ever
Ball
sell that, by the way? Oh yeah,
I don't know. Maybe I'm not fully caught
Vegito
up.
Super Saiyan God Super Saiyan. That's
that a thing?
That's the culmination, I guess.
Yeah, but it's like, come on.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
I want Vegeta in the wheelchair.
at the beginning of this podcast, my sentence I was replying to myself saying, no, it isn't the best thing we've watched. But over this podcast, it's making me like it more.
Oh man.
Same.
But I'm still like, when I still think about I really loved One Punch Man and
Mob Psycho 100.
but like, I get those two were very just like entertaining and fun and fresh, but this was definitely something more moving.
So also our first two podcasts, if you want to sound us or listen to us sounding like fucking idiots, maybe go check that out.
I just want to say that Mob Psycho is one of the greatest anime I've ever seen in my life.
We were talking about that yesterday.
So everything else we've watched can't even top it. I guess technically we did a podcast on Death Note, which would probably top it, but
one of the
that's
goats.
it.
Yeah. It's like we hit one of the goats very early, which is like, oh shit, now what?
But
Mob Psycho 100 is flawless.
Yeah, fact.
Yeah. Take that to the bank.
Hard fact.
Yes.
But this anime is just so damn good too.
Yeah.
It's like I don't think I could say it's better than Mob Psycho.
Not by a long shot, in my opinion.
I don't know, but it does a lot of great things, and it's the only serious anime that we've watched or it's definitely the best serious anime that we've watched that's come out in recent years. So like negating Death Note. Right. But I guess we haven't watched enough of those yet. Or Cowboy, yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, in the last 3 years, like there's nothing, like I liked this more than Inuyashiki, than Violet. I don't know if Magus Bride is supposed to be serious, but I really hope not. Kino's Journey, A Maiden Abyss, I guess it's supposed to be like kind of serious too.
I guess it is serious.
Yeah, Attack on Titan
also,
for sure.
Apples and oranges. You know,
Like, this is a really special anime, and yet I can't really think of who I'd recommend this to. Like, I think there have been some other animes that I felt confident I could recommend it to someone who isn't into anime, and I don't think that this is one of those ones. I think this is like an anime's anime.
Yeah,
You know?
but
yeah,
I also
like-
feel like I could show this to someone who like is like hardcore into shonen anime, like has watched all of Naruto, all of Bleach, all of those shows, and is just like, yo, I love shonen anime. I'd be like, yo, want to get like a real quick high? Here's 13 episodes.
No, I'm saying that's fine. I'm saying I couldn't recommend it to someone who doesn't watch
that's
anime, though.
You're a hondo correct there.
Yeah.
I don't know. I think you could. I think much more than like some of the other shows that we watched. There's some shows that we watch that I wouldn't dare show to a regular human being who doesn't watch anime. But this is like pretty close to being up there. Because there's nothing like truly weird or off-putting or anime-esque about
Like
the
when you
show.
think about stereotypically cringy things of
yeah,
an anime,
like
there's
I think
nothing
this
in
is
it.
like pretty accessible.
Like
It's just, like,
stylistically, yeah, it is
yeah.
quite
like
straightforward.
it's got a
in that
unique
regard.
look. It's got style. It's got like characters that make sense that don't make like illogical leaps and like
Right.
in decisions.
Mm-hmm.
But like I see that you're right that I like can't pinpoint a person in my head that would like love the show necessarily. But I think it's like it's an easy recommendation.
I think
think.
if you found someone who loves cowboy but like completely missed the point of it, maybe this would be their favorite anime of all time, because they'd be like, oh my god, so aesthetic. But like
Right.
also I feel like this show even kind of missed the mark with the aesthetic a little bit, because there's times where there's like still frames or like very little animation going on. I'm like, wow, this just looks like a 90s show.
Like when the show forces you to look at a still frame from
Right,
it at the
yeah.
middle and the end of every or the beginning and end of every
Right.
episode. Which is really
But,
funny.
Yeah,
I liked that.
There's times.
I mean, it's
Cool.
funny. Yeah, kind
there's,
of.
there's times where it works, and there's a lot of times where you're like, this is like a brand spanking new anime that they just sort of like downgraded a little.
Yeah, there's definitely times where the style works, like the down resing to make it
Right.
look like an older show. But yeah,
Like
there's
some
times
of the
where I'm
action
just like,
sequences, it's like, yo, this is so crisp, but you just de-crisped it
yeah,
for the sake
yeah.
of making it,
It does feel like that
seem
a little bit.
nostalgic. But like, you know, all in all, good looking
Yeah.
show. Good show. Made me feel good. I would probably tell someone about it, but I also don't know who.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'd recommend it to anime watch.
Maybe if somebody really loved Cowboy Bebop, I'd be like, so this show has a lot of similar like vibes, or like they tried to do the same thing but about boxing and like not about existential dread and about happiness instead of sadness. And never mind, don't watch this.
Cowboy's a harder watch though because it's
Oh,
so
sure.
dense.
Yeah,
right?
of course, yeah.
Like
It's
this
like
is
each episode's a small movie.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This is not that.
Like, yeah, if I were to recommend Cowboy to somebody, I'd be like, I'm sorry for what I'm about to do to you. Like,
Yeah, it's like
this is going to be an emotional
this is gonna consume you.
slog. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Like you won't be the same after this.
Exactly. Which
Nothing
is like,
was the same.
oh god, another Drake reference.
In case you forgot, we live in Toronto and it's Drake Mania right now, so it's heavy on the mind.
Not for us three though.
Yeah,
Right.
Not Drake
we
Mania
just-
for us.
we
But
can't
he
get
just
away.
he put out a new album called Scorpion, just like our boy Pops, who stings the what's it called, the
Yeah,
frog.
dude. You
Yeah.
think Drake's ever gonna make it across the river?
Oh god, never.
It's in his nature.
So the last thing I have to bring up about the show is Yuri.
Yuri.
When Yuri was injured and became paraplegic, how long do you think they kept his neck on ice? Also,
Yuri's neck on ice.
also, do you think that Victor from Yuri on Ice retired after the finale of Yuri on Ice, left to a different part of the world, and like donned a persona called Yuri after like his protege that he loves so much, started to take up a different sport, boxing, which he could conceivably still do at this later age in his life, unlike skating.
Right.
Punch the shit out of people, grow out his hair a little bit.
Froze himself for like 100 years so that he could be in the future.
Or in this Donald Trump-esque world where possibly Japan is nuked, everywhere is dying.
It's fucking just nuclear holocaust.
Yeah, we're living in a
world
Megalo
is-
Box world.
Yeah.
10 years from now, possibly.
Right.
Yuri Victor is still fighting. And then he gets like paraplegicized at the end anyways, and can't skate or box.
He can't dance in any sense of the word.
Yeah. Never gonna dance
Maybe.
again. Yeah. Guilty feet, Dylan. Anyways, that's my theory.
They ain't got no rhythm.
Yeah. What do you guys, any final thoughts on the show?
It made me feel real nice, and I hope I get another glimpse at anime truth. I hope I pass through the gate and get a glimpse of the truth again.
Whoa.
We haven't watched anything that made me feel a certain way. Hasn't elicited strong feelings for me in a long time. So it was great to watch this. It was very pretty, and I hope I can find the right person to recommend this to, because I'd love to share it with someone.
Yeah.
Sean?
This show is a good, fun ride, dude. We were talking about My Hero Academia Season 3 last week, how it's a
Right.
good Saturday morning cartoon.
Yeah.
MEGALO BOX is a good Friday night Bionics on YTV type anime.
No, you did it!
I did it.
You had to do it to him.
Good show.
You sold this to me. Now I love this show.
Final
Like,
thoughts.
without a doubt.
That's my final thought.
Wow.
Yeah.
You are 100% right. By the way, we're from Toronto. We already said that. YTV is a TV,
Network
Here.
in Canada.
and Bionics is all of our youth. Except Dylan.
Not
That was
mine.
Bionics was the programming block on Friday nights where they'd show anime.
Anime?
That was like
Yeah.
a little
A little raunchy. They had a little
raunchy.
bit of a
Yeah.
disclaimer. It's like,
yeah. You might see boobs with no nipples. In the yeah.
yeah.
We have been the Shonen Jumps.
We
have
still
more to say.
are the Shonen Chumps.
We're the Shonen Chumps. If you want to talk to us, because we love to talk to you, you can tweet at us at Shonen Chumps. You can email us at shonenchumps@gmail.com and give us your life lessons, your love lessons, your anime tips, tricks.
We need help. Just give us
Anything.
lessons of some kind,
Yeah.
please.
Please, we love you. And you can listen to us on SoundCloud or Apple iTunes podcasts.
And if you do listen to us on Apple iTunes Podcasts or any other kind of podcast medium,
Like Google
yeah,
podcasts.
like Google
Yeah,
or whatever
Google
the
Play.
fuck Android people use, if that's what they use, leave us a review of some kind. It does help. Whether you loved us or hated us, Sean has promised to read whatever you write on air.
Whatever you write.
It can be the most fucked up shit we've ever read, and
Yeah.
we are obligated to you to read it on air, because we've said it multiple times and we don't fuck around, my dudes.
Write an AI that leaves reviews for us. Just do it. Or better yet, just go into the field, the text field to leave a review, and tap that middle button in the recommended words bar above your keyboard.
So it makes no sense,
just gibberish, yeah.
but it's something.
Yeah, it'll be something.
Give us something.
And I'll still read it. Yeah, for sure. Yeah, we've been the Shonen Chumps.
See you,
Okay.
Space Cowboy.
Bye.
Not dead yet.
That's it.
Like, he looks weird in the beginning of Arrested Development because he's, like, too young.
Yeah.
But he looks weird later in Arrested Development because he's too old. You want to get that, like, that super bad to Scott Pilgrim.
Yeah.
That's where he looks like
Talking about
Michael Cera. Yeah.